Hello again. This is Math 2232 coming to you from the College of DuPage, and the title of this lecture is Summer 22 Final Exam Topical Outline. As always, please be attentive while watching this video. So here's the final exam scope statement, and each of these are equally weighted problems. Okay, and I'm divided it into things that we did since the midterm exam when I drew the bright red line, and since the midterm. So these are topics that we've covered since the midterm that are in scope for this final exam. There will be a problem about conic sections, and we did a lot with conic sections. We identified them, we dealt with them in rectangular coordinates, we dealt with them in polar coordinates. We talked about the intersection of conic sections. We talked about rotating conic sections to get rid of the xy term, and we talked about identifying conic sections. So there's a lot of stuff there I didn't mention at all, but conic sections will be a problem. There will also be a problem about power series. And we did a lot with power series. You remember, I'm sure, that you can integrate and differentiate power series term by term. There were a whole bunch of power series that you actually memorized, and I sometimes talked about those problems as being morphing kind of problems. We also talked about the interval and radius of convergence, and so power series are definitely in scope. We also talked about polar integrals, integrals in polar coordinates, and you remember there was a different formula for area that arose there, and I expect that to happen. We talked about things that were inside polar curves and in between polar curves, and so those are good problems that you want to be aware of. We also talked generally about parametric equations in calculus. We found the first and second derivatives telling us the slope of the tangent line and the concavity of the function relative to the parameter, perhaps t. And we also talked about using parametric equations to do things we've done before, like arc length and things like that. And so there are two problems on this test dealing with parametric equations, graphing them, and doing calculus with them, both integrating and taking derivatives. We also talked about a special type of power series called the Taylor series, and also we called it the Maclaurin series, and there were many things that we did with that as well, and so there's a problem dealing with that. And also, immediately after the midterm, the first thing that we said was not in scope for the midterm was the alternating series test. And you might remember that the alternating series test also gave you a convenient error estimate. And so there's a problem dealing with this. There also are going to be posted, not posted yet, but soon, God willing, will be take-home problems that will have to be turned in by I guess it's now by the close of business on August 6th, and they will count just like the problems in class, but you can get help on these, so this is good. We're going to talk about numerical integration, a fluids word problem, and a work problem. So those are things that will fall into the category of take-home problems. And again, if you do them, that's great. If you don't do them, it will be -3 to start with on the problem. So you do want to do those and turn those in. Okay, so those are topics that I deem as being since the midterm. We're also going to have, because it is a comprehensive exam, we'll have things that were also topics before the midterm. And so, and these are my versions of the topical outline, and Jesse Hayes Carver might very well give you additional insight as he looks over the tests that I developed. So anyway, these are before the midterm. We are going to review improper integrals. We're going to talk about summing series. There's a problem dealing with that. There's a problem dealing with integrating via trig substitution, integration by parts. And here, when I say integrating trig combos, these will be sines and cosines or powers thereof, and also secants and tangents. And then, this was before the midterm, we talked about the integral test, but one of the cool things about the integral test was we also got error estimates. And so there's a problem that I call integral test and error estimates. Now, I'm not going to be telling you which one is which, but this is my outline for the final exam, and so this is the scope, and I think if you follow this and use many of the collaterals that we've already provided for you, you should be in good shape. I am going to be doing some additional lectures for the people who aren't going to benefit from the VCMs, but these are some things that I'm going to continue talking about during the VCM lectures next week, and actually even other things. Okay, so there we go. That's the final exam scope statement. This is going to be posted into your syllabus tab 2 if you want to look at it after listening to it here and perhaps taking some notes here. In closing, now more than ever, and this is true, now more than ever, that time is precious. Each day must count. Do the math. It will make you strong. And now more than ever, take care of yourself, because self-care is important, and take care of each other because we're all in this together. God bless you all, and be aware that Jesse Hayes Carver is holding GSGs next week as well, and in addition to me having office hours, and Learning Commons is always open. So there's time to brush up on these things as you need to. Take care, and see you in class.